Hello everyone, I'm Tom Fry, I'm the art director for Evening Star and Penny's Big Breakaway, and today we're going to do a little drawing challenge. It's the 10 minute, 1 minute and 10-second speed drawing challenge. So that means I'm going to be drawing Penny 3 times, and I'm going to be grabbing some pens, and I'm going to be grabbing some pencils, and they're going to be making up Penny. So without further ado, we're going to have a little look down here, and I'm going to get right to it. So here we go. All right, here we are. Welcome to my tin pot drawing setup made with much love and duct tape. All right, so we're kicking off the 10-minute pose here. So you see that arc I drew there? What that is, that's called the line of action. So whenever you're drawing the character, it's usually a good thing to start out with because it helps to give you a sense of the energy of the pose that you're drawing. And when I talk about energy here, I'm not talking about the character's chakra or their aura. What I'm talking about is the motion behind that pose and the intent and, well, even the story. Yes, even a line can tell a story, and it's basically that first step of planning, basically. And so what I've done in this case is I've got it running directly through Penny's middle, but the main thing is it's going through her spine, and so it helps to just give a sense of just that general shape of the pose. Sometimes you might have it going through a leg or an arm if those are the elements in the pose that are really driving that action that you're trying to depict. Here I felt it made more sense to just, as I say, just have it go through her middle. Perhaps a little bit unorthodox, but you know, I'm just a maverick like that. But it's a semi-symmetrical pose, so I feel like it helps to give a bit of balance. And yeah, you know, then I can just sort of work either side of it, and it feels intuitive to me anyway. Let's just put it that way. So then once we got that down, then I will start to lay out the primitive shapes that comprise the figure in question. Now you can apply this to any sort of figure you're drawing, whether it's, you know, realistic or stylized. It really doesn't matter. It's just a good way just to get those broad strokes down to help you to understand where things are placed relative to each other, and even a sense of that figure's three-dimensionality as well. Now in the case of Penny and the rest of her cast, they are already very geometric anyway, so by laying out these shapes, these cones, spheres, cuboids, whatever, I'm already halfway there really with just the depiction of the character. I should point out that we're not really worrying at this stage about laying down any fine detail. That needs to come later, after we've got these shapes all laid out and got a bit of color down and that sort of thing, and then we can use the tone just to bring in some of that finer detail, and particularly around the face as well. That's really where the hot spots are with Penny. So already we're about 2.5 minutes in, just a little bit over that, and nearly to the end of the line drawing phase now. And then I'll break out the markers and we can start just blocking in those bright colors. So some of you might be thinking, what was the impetus behind the colour scheme for Penny that really leans heavily on the yellow ochre and the sort of mauvish purple? And the truth of the matter is, there wasn't any particular. It was sort of just an experimental process that landed at this point. I started designing Penny over 3 years ago now, when we first were concepting out the game, and this certainly was not the first color scheme we landed on, and I think it's one of those aspects of the design process as well where it really helps to draw in a number of opinions. And so the rest of the team were definitely involved in that discussion and see what they all felt. And this is just where we landed, really. It just felt nice. It sort of, obviously it needs to feel vibrant, of course, but I felt like it needed to feel joyous as well. I mean, she is a performer at the end of the day, and I think yellow in particular is a very happy colour. I mean, it's sunny, And then the purple, of course, well, on the color wheel, it's more or less the sort of the antithesis, if you will, to the yellow, and so you get that nice contrast, and just generally just contrast where it pertains to color is appealing. But I mean, you could say that for any number of aspects of art and design. I mean, it's the same with like her different forms as well. Like there's a lot of sweeping curves, but I have a bit of a penchant for angle breaks as well, and so I kind of see that as being like the sort of the sweet meets salty, I guess, or the oil cutting through the vinegar. You know, that's what makes for a tasty composition, I feel. So yeah, you know, it's always good to have that contrast wherever the opportunities lie. So thinking around this subject of shape and form, one of our main inspirations really right from the get-go with the project was the Bauhaus movement, which is a name that may be familiar to some of you, and to those of you who it isn't, it's nevertheless, you've probably encountered it somehow in your lives. It's because it's informed a lot of modern architecture and just general object and furniture design, and yeah, it came about in the early 20th century, so it's been around for, I believe it's been around for over 100 years now. And but basically, I mean, to sort of get into the visual tenets of what it's all about, it's very much a movement that's predicated on modernism and futurism, and you know, what those entail is the use of abstract bright colors and lots of use of, well, primitive geometry, as we've already been talking about. And so that informs, well, everything in Penny's world, and of course it informs all of the character designs as well, which going a bit more specific there, one of the inspirations that I drew from was a performance piece called the Triadic Ballet, which that too was born out of the Bauhaus movement. And it's really cool if you look it up. Like, the costume designs for this are, I mean, I would argue they're way ahead of their time and utterly bizarre, a real CG fever dream almost. These very abstract, geometric costumes that are, they almost, they don't look like a human can fit into them, really, because they just are so wacky, some of them, and yeah, have these lovely bold silhouettes to them. And I really studied just, yeah, whatever imagery I could find, to be honest, and just applying these strange 3D geometry to all of the characters to give them what I hope will be memorable silhouettes. And I mean, as an animator myself, you know, it's something that you've really got to think about, is the strength of your character silhouette to tell a story, certainly, but as a game that is so driven by its cast, I really just wanted to make sure that no matter what these characters are doing, that even from a distance you could recognize them as being something that is strictly from our world and can't be mistaken for something else. And when I say our world, I do mean Macaroon. Just you get so engrossed in this that sometimes I get confused between whether I'm still on Earth or whether I'm on a world shaped like a biscuit in some other mad corner of our weird and turbulent universe. But yeah, anyway, moving on from the more cosmic level, we are closing in now on the final 2 minutes here. And yeah, we're up to one of my favorite bits, actually, when it comes to this sort of stuff, which is laying down that tone. It's a good way to help to convey that three-dimensionality of the form. And yeah, you know, we've already done what I would deem the heavy lifting at this point. All the planning's been done. We know where we stand. I mean, Penny, she's just standing on one foot because, you know, she's, yeah, just so bloody good at what she does. Oh, and breaking out my little cheat tool there. That's the white paint pen, just as a way to get those highlights, just popping a little bit more on the pupils, and those lovely pearly white gnashers as well, because, you know, we can't forget about those. Admittedly, I could have used a fine liner here. I know some of you will be thinking, oh, why doesn't he use the fine liner? But yeah, I just wanted to irritate some of those of you who wished that I had gone with a finer pen. But no, in all seriousness, I was just going with what I had in my little tool chest, and yeah, just in you making use of these final seconds here, just to add just a little bit of definition, just a hint of some. I mean, it's not really tone, really. It's just a semblance of an outline, just to give a bit of final contrast. Here we go. All right, there we go. It's 10 minutes down. Then we'll move straight on to the 1 minute. Oh, pull start. And away we go. Get that line of action in again. This time I'm just diving straight in with the marker. Just don't want to muck about. Just want to make it sure it's really nice and visible. And what I really like about the 1 minute pose actually is that you just got to, there isn't time to think. You've just got to react and just got to trust what you're doing. Just sort of, I mean, it sounds a little bit wishy-washy, but you just got to feel it, man. You just got to feel what you're doing, and yeah, just go with the flow, like a twig in the shoulders of a mighty stream. But yeah, this is what years of life drawing have sort of got me used to. Yeah, it's definitely a transformative experience doing life drawing, I have to say. To any aspiring artists out there, I highly recommend it. Find yourself a good life drawing class if you can. It will transform your skills, I promise you. But don't hold me to that. And there we go. It's 1 minute. Then we got the 10 seconds where you know, all heck is going to break loose. I can only imagine. Crikey, I couldn't even remember what I did for this, but well, it's certainly something. We got a hat and no arm. So there you have it, folks. 1 speed challenge under the belt and 3 penny drawings of questionable quality. I certainly relish this challenge, and I hope you enjoyed watching it as well. And maybe you've got some ideas of other challenges that I can undertake. Maybe even redoing the speed challenge again, using other characters from Penny's Big Breakaway. But just let us know in the comments, and you know, we'll see what we can do. In the meantime, keep your eyes peeled. Penny's Big Breakaway, it's not far away, coming out very, very soon. So thank you very much again, and we'll see you real soon. Cheers.